the most, I would say, longest cultural connect between India and the societies east of India. It is Bali Yatra. Bali Yatra, which begins in Odisha, and which actually established a cultural footprint in Bali, which continues to this day in the country. I'm sure, Odisha would be no better, probably would be much, much better off than many others, because you have always emphasized education. How many more medical colleges are there? How many more engineering colleges are there? How many more universities? And by the way, I must tell you that in the last 10 years, the number of education institutions which have come up are almost the same degree as they were in the previous 70 years. So I'm giving you this as an example because it is actually all around us. It is all around us. We see it every day. We experience it every day. We don't always think about it every day. We assume it happens, which is a good thing, because that means, we treat it as a new normal, and we say, okay, we must have higher targets, more ambitious things to learn from. So why I begin on this note is, when 25 years of this century are done, and we are looking at the next 25 years, today we have a dream. That dream is called Viksit Bharat. And it's a big dream, because in the past, when people say, what should the country's goal be? We used to say, we should eradicate poverty. Or our dreams were much smaller. Our dreams were to do with the minimal problems. Our dreams were not big. Our dreams were not, we should be in the front rank of nations. Now you can say, okay, that's a dream. So what is the reality? You can also see the reality happening. You can see the reality happening when we are able to go to the difficult side of the moon, when Chandrayaan goes there. You can see the reality happening when COVID happened and people said, India will be the worst hit place. We actually ended up supplying vaccines and medicines to most of the world. You can see the reality happening when you look at something like semiconductors. That, today most people know that chips, AI, technology will determine the future of where we're going. And a lot of that today, the fact that we have a semiconductor mission. So it is not that India will be somewhere, what is happening in the world after 10 or 15 years will also come to India. Today we are trying to close the gap. We are also trying to be in the front rank of nations. Sometimes we are trying to be ahead of other countries. And that is, I think, so visible. It is also visible in people that we have looked, it's one thing for every country to prepare its people for work, to bring out their talents and skills. But we have started today to think of preparing for a global workforce. Even in Odisha, I'm sure number of people who are going out to work must have increased tremendously. I mean, I see them abroad. You would have probably seen them or their families at home. So when we look today where there is actually a great talent of skills and shortage in the world, if there is one country which people feel, okay, can produce a global workforce, and this can be all sorts of professions. Again, we see it every day. Whenever we board a flight, the number of crew members you will find who are Indian will be much higher. There will probably be not a plane you will board where there is at least not one person in the crew. I had an experience recently. I was flying, I think, from Israel to Dubai. And the pilot of the plane was an Indian lady. It was not an Indian airline. So you see it in shipping, in cruise liners, in merchant shipping. You see it in hotels abroad. You see it in actually when we go out of India in research institutions, in businesses, but also in blue-collar jobs, in white-collar jobs. So my point is that today when we dream big, when we say Viksit Bharat, we have to deal with our inherited problems. We have to deal, make sure people, their health is better, their education is better, their nutrition is better, and all of this is happening. when we again think in terms of what is the big changes of the last decade, sometimes I give numbers, particularly I go to Europe or Middle East. They cannot believe the numbers you give them. That we actually every month give food support to 80 crore people, 800 million people, which is twice the population of Europe. That we have actually given houses under Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. 40 million houses, at 5 houses means 200 million people. 20 crore people have got houses in the last 10 years. So if you look at our numbers are really huge in the last 10 years. And part of it is the confidence with which I think today we approach Viksit Bharat is because we actually have become one of the most digitized societies in the world. We have embraced digitization. So with our phone, with our QR code, with our cashless payments, we today actually do things which many developed countries don't do. And when we look at the future, because the future will be of technology, in the next 5 years, AI is going to be present in every part of our lives. And that will actually, I think, as a people, as a society, and you don't have to be rich to embrace technology in our country. Even ordinary citizens of our country today have taken to technology and put it into their lifestyle in a very, very natural fashion. So, to my mind, when I look at the future with Viksit Bharat as a dream, I have every confidence that we will, in the course of the next 25 years, definitely the results of that will be visible by the end of the decade. We will make very big steps forward. Now, people have had dreams before. Leaders have said things before. What is the difference this time? I think the difference this time is, along with the dream, is also a plan. Dream will not remain a dream. Usko zameen mein utarenge. That is actually the difference. And that difference, how do you get it on the ground? That, I think, for that, I would say the contribution, the participation, the criticality of states is important. Because finally the ground is states. I mean, we are a country. But when you want to take anything down on the ground, until the state authorities, the state government, the people of the state are able to do it, the systems of the state are able to do it, it doesn't happen. So what we have today is actually a national dream, an attempt to get all the states involved in taking it down to the ground. Programs, many of which are driven from the national leadership, but which are implemented through the state authorities. But in many cases, this is the talent of the state, the enthusiasm of the state, which also makes a very big difference. And that brings me to the state of Odisha. Now, all of you, I'm sure, have some sense of Indian history. Okay, you may have studied history in school, you would have read about it somewhere, you would have watched it in movies. Think about when India was historically great. India was historically great when the eastern part of India was historically great. That was actually our greatest period in our history. And one of our misfortunes, when the British came, when colonialism came, the part of India which was most badly, where maximum amount of plunder and loot and took place was also the East, because that was where the revenue collection for them was the easiest. So revival of eastern part of India is essential for the revival of India, and the revival of India is essential for Viksit Bharat to happen. Now, the revival of India today has a vision, Purvodaya. To realize Viksit Bharat, we have to realize Purvodaya. Eastern states of India have to grow if India has to grow, and only then we can reach the level of Viksit Bharat. And when one looks today, because again, what has happened in the last 200 years? 200 years sometimes can change a country or a society very, very profoundly. When the Europeans came to India, they had no interest in the eastern part of India facing the sea, because they were living in the west of India. So if you look, all the great Indian ports, which had lasted hundreds or thousands of years, actually declined in that period. What were the ports which came up? The ports facing Europe, mostly in the west. Again, if you look at which were the parts of India which were, in a sense, used by the colonial period to push their agenda, it was the parts which were suitable to them. So when we think today of a national revival plan, when we say, okay, how will Purvodaya materialize itself in the ground? We have today to consciously revive the eastern states of India. And in this, the importance of Odisha, for a variety of reasons. Because again, after all, what does any society have? Society has people. Society has resources. And what connects the two is entrepreneurship. So today, it is actually the skills and talents of Odisha. How do we make that come forward? It is the resources of Odisha. How does that actually get the best benefit? How do you get the value add on it? How do we not become just the resources provider, but get the first and second order benefits of those resources? That, and then the entrepreneurship which accompanies it. So, and for which you need good governance. Because without good governance, the good educational institutions won't happen. The social support will not be there. The business climate will not grow. So the combination of all of this today actually positions Odisha in a very, very favorable place. That it has, I do foreign policy, my life revolves around it. When I look at, I'm India looking out at the world. When I look at the part of India moving towards the east, we speak today of the Indo-Pacific. We then talk of Act East. Then you come closer, Indian Ocean, Bay of Bengal. But which is the state which is looking out at it? It is Odisha. So if I have to move as India out into the Indo-Pacific, what is my starting point? My starting point are the coastal states. Historically, what is even today the most, I would say, longest cultural connect between India and the societies east of India? It is Bali Yatra. Bali Yatra, which begins in Odisha, and which actually established a cultural footprint in Bali, which continues to this day. That if you go to Southeast Asia and people say, okay, where is India? It's in Bali. And that Bali Yatra connect is with the state of Odisha. So, for us today, yes, we want states to compete with each other. We want every one of them to excel in terms of quality of governance. We want quality of education, support the quality of life for people, the ease of doing business, the ease of living, so that every day the citizen's life is made that much simpler. But at the end of the day, the world may see rightly a nation, India, Bharat. But that nation will have states, and for different parts of the world, different states will have their own particular value and their own particular contribution. And when I look at our connect to the Indo-Pacific, which is a very critical part of my foreign policy today, the state of Odisha has a great value. When I look at the future of the country, that the two important things which I can contribute in foreign policy today is critical minerals and human resources, human talent. That is also from the state of Odisha. So No, it's been for you a full day. You would have discussed different aspects of it. I would have liked to enthuse this conversation at the beginning of the conference, but I thought at least at the conclusion of your meeting, let me leave you with this thought that, we are today, I see a determination and a sort of commitment in the country today about going forward. It is not only, it's not just a feeling, it is not only political narabaji, okay? It is a very strong vision with a very clear sense of what to do to make that vision happen on the ground.